speaking beyond our borders, on land, on the seas and in the air. This is the Chief Koti Show.
Hi folks, what's up? I hope I find you well. Chief Koti here. It's the name ahead of the game. You know the story. We always find the best for you. And here we are to talk to interesting individuals who come through and teach us a little bit about life, leadership, and just socialization in general. And today I've got a very good friend of mine. In fact, it's friends, but we have one on camera. The other one, maybe you hear their voice from time to time, but they're here, both of them. Dorien Beurskens. Did I get that right?
Perfect.
Yes, for the first time in many years, I get it right. So I'm happy to have you. Welcome.
Thanks,
to
Chief.
the Chief Koti Show.
Thanks.
Fantastic. So, who is Dorien? Maybe we start there.
Okay, I describe myself as a Dutch national. I was born in the Netherlands with African heart because I've lived more than half my life in Africa.
Okay.
An Indian partner in life and work, so I think that makes me a global citizen.
You're just like a United Nations of sorts by yourself, right?
Never by myself alone. Always in community with others.
Of course. You work with an organization, Young Africa.
Correct.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What is that about and what do you guys do?
Yeah.
And is that your professional standing?
Way more than my professional standing. It is my passion, it is an expression of my soul, our soul, it is our brainchild, it is our purpose in life. So we started Young Africa in 1998, way back 27 years ago, to empower disadvantaged young people in Africa with skills for life and work.
What brought that into
yeah, that's really interesting. I deeply believe that it is a God-given purpose even before I was born, before Raj was born. And everything in our lives actually led to us starting Young Africa. So it's way more than a profession. Of course, it has become a profession, but really a fulfillment of life.
So you talk about Raj is your partner from India, right? And you are from the Netherlands and you live in Africa.
Yes.
That is very interesting. How did that happen? When did you meet Raj and how did you meet him?
Raj can corroborate this story. Raj was already from India, in Kenya, leading a Don Bosco vocational training center in Nairobi, Kenya. I came from the Netherlands as a volunteer to work with street kids at Don Bosco in Nairobi. And there, for me, within 2 weeks, it was love at first sight with Africa. Wonderful continent, full of heart.
Oh, Africa, not yet the man.
Same time, same day. And in 2 weeks, I was in love with Africa, with development cooperation, because I realized that is where I can really contribute something meaningful to the world. And I met Raj. And all of that in 2 weeks turned my life around, but into the right direction.
And you were never to go back to Europe?
And of course I went back to Europe, but it was clear from that time on that this was meant to be. Africa, development, together with Raj, and how we shaped that is in this organization that we started, and we named it Young Africa.
What brought the name about? Was it because you were focusing on young people? What happened there?
Yeah, yes, but the name came from a very pragmatic point of view. We registered Young Africa first in the Netherlands, and I wanted it to have a name that is as positive as possible. The Dutch word for yes is ja. We went to the notary public to register the organization under the name JA, ja. Wasn't possible. And the notary said, why don't you make it YA? So that it sounds the same, but well, it's not as a common a word as just yes. And then we thought, yeah, if it's called Ja, then it needs to mean something. So we said, okay, let's just make it as simple as possible. We're gonna work for young people. We're gonna work in Africa, Young Africa.
And Young Africa.
And it stuck.
Ah, nice. Very nice. So you've been in Zimbabwe for a very long time now.
Since 1998.
That's a long time.
With a break of 9 years to start Young Africa in Mozambique.
Okay.
So 8 years Zim, 9 years Moz, and now 10 years back in Zim again.
Fantastic.
With love and pleasure.
And where were you staying in Zimbabwe?
Yeah, that was really interesting because we realized, Raj and I, that we were both coming from different continents and really wanting to understand what the plight of young people is, what the needs of young people are, and also very simple, we didn't have money, so we needed to economize. We decided...
How does a white person not have money, like Murungu? You know this thing?
Murungu, I'm a Murungu.
Yes, we don't believe that Murungu doesn't have money.
That's an assumption that's not right.
It's interesting.
That's not right.
Yeah.
Well, that's, you know, the origin story of Young Africa is, I mean, we mentioned how the name came about, but where the startup capital came from, you must be thinking in millions.
Yeah.
I had a very tiny car in the Netherlands, really not bigger than this table. I sold it and got $1,500. And with that capital, we started Young Africa. That was to start the work as well as to live off, the two of us. What it tells you is you don't need big money to have a big dream and realize it. You just need to have the guts, the sense of purpose, the persistence, the patience, sometimes a little bit of sacrifice as well, to really bring about a movement and create change in the world. So for everyone who's listening and watching, let that be an important message. You don't need big capital, you don't need big support, you just need to be focused, have a sense of purpose, have a dream, and a little bit of money to keep alive. So back to your story, where did you live?
Yeah.
We lived in Chitungwiza for 6 years. First, we had a very small cottage in the backyard of a lovely Shona family in Harare. And from there, when we started building our training center in Chitungwiza, which again was a story of love at first sight, the first time we entered Chitungwiza.
How did you end up in Chitungwiza? What happened?
Why not? 1 million people are living there.
I know, right? But it's
Why
it's
not
a very
two
weird,
more?
It's a very weird story. Like, how
It's
do you?
unusual. Don't call it weird.
Yeah, well, yeah, unusual. But how did you get there? What happened?
By combi, just like anyone
No.
else.
I'm asking, like,
Yeah,
when did you arrive at the decision to say, okay, we are going to Chitungwiza, we are going to look for young people there, and then we're going to live there?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
When we landed in Zimbabwe in 1998, we, with those $1,500 in our pocket, we spoke to everyone who wanted to talk to us about three questions. What are the dreams of young people in Zimbabwe? What are the constraints they meet on their journey to make those dreams come true? And what can a small organization, and we lied about how small we are, or were, what can a small organization like Young Africa help you with? And the answer was unanimous. Skills training and micro businesses. So that's what we started with, and within the first few days of our stay here in Zimbabwe, we were actually led to Chitungwiza. And yeah, we thought this is where so many young people are. This is where the opportunities for tertiary education are very limited. So we can contribute so much here with our concept of skills development, youth empowerment. Raj and I both had experience in working with young people in Kenya, in vocational training as well. But we wanted to define our programs based on what people here needed, what young people considered they needed. So that's how we ended up in Chitungwiza with vocational training, but recognize that just the skills of the hands, learning a profession, is not enough to thrive in life. You also need to have the mindset. you need to have the self-confidence, you need to have the problem-solving skills, the communication skills, you need to be able to look after your health, know something about your rights, you need to know something about empathy, living with a sense of purpose. So we shape that in the life skills program.
Okay.
But then, because the economy of the countries now we work in is not large enough to absorb all graduates, we realize young people also need to learn about how to start a business. So from the beginning we offered this entire package of vocational training, life skills education, entrepreneurship. Later on, and we picked up, that's the great thing about living in a community, you really pick up what young people need. Isn't it, Jason? One of your guys here, the producer, is a past student of Young Africa. We're super proud of him and all his brothers and sisters who have gone through our programs.
Absolutely. They've done very well for themselves. I think he's a fantastic producer. He does amazing things.
There you are, Jason.
So you guys have done very well. So I want to ask something that's very, a bit off, maybe peculiar in a way. Yeah. So, because I have had an experience of renting some backyard somewhere as a youngster growing up, starting up in life. How was your experience with that setup? And were you guys paying rentals, or you were living there for free? What was the arrangement with that Chitungwiza family?
No, the Chitungwiza family was in Harare, and we were just paying rent, like anyone else who rents a cottage at the backyard of someone's house.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because we have a very strong love and hate relationship with our landlords.
Oh, okay.
Because we are always late with the rent and things like that.
Yeah.
So
I'm Dutch enough to pay my rent on time, so
that's good.
We still stay in touch with that family, even 27 years down the line. No, they were super welcoming, protective, and sweet. Mm-hmm.
That's nice. And you lived during a time where things were very difficult in Zimbabwe politically. As a white person living in that community, how was that? A white person and an Indian person
in
Chitungwiza during land reform days.
Yeah.
How was that? How was that experience?
Well, the good thing was from the beginning we built up a relationship with the local authorities. In fact, it's the then mayor of Chitungwiza who offered us the land where we later on built the trainings, our first training center in Chitungwiza. So we had that connection with the mayor and his team in Chitungwiza, and he was actually pretty protective of us. So when there was a bit of turmoil in Chitungwiza, he would phone us, "Are you guys okay?" And at a certain point when we had night classes and our students, there was curfew time, our students couldn't come for night classes, he actually made an arrangement for us: give your students an ID card, Young Africa, and they will be exempted from that curfew if they come for class.
Wow.
So it's that relationship. And what's the good thing about being a Morungu in Chitungwiza? People recognize you. And even Raj, though he may be darker than many people in Chitungwiza, but being straight-haired, he was called a Morungu. People recognize you, so they know these Warungu from Young Africa. So that also gave a sort of protection in the community. So we were fine, we were never harmed, we lived there in peace and really truly enjoyed our 6 years in the township. When we moved from Chitungwiza to Beira in Mozambique to start Young Africa in 2006, we were actually homesick for Chitungwiza.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had a good time there. It was beautiful, and we learned so much from life and needs and dreams of youths in that environment. And another great source of learning for us was we had hostels on the campus. So we lived with 48 girls who came from orphanages, from child-headed families, from difficult circumstances. And
This is now in Mozambique? Or
no,
here?
in
Here
Chitungwiza
okay.
still. In Chitungwiza still. Yeah.
Interesting.
48 teenage girls, and being sort of parents, developing the hostel program, seeing what they needed. Raj was sometimes called in for Lobola negotiations because he was the daddy.
Oh, really?
And he was the
That is
one who
interesting.
brought girls for the first time to their day of work when they started in a dressmaking factory or moved into a room, starting their independent life. So, yeah, that was very beautiful, a very, very rich experience. And to be honest, it was so profound that the way you also asked for leadership snippets, the way I hope I lead my team now is still connect with what young people need, connect with what is important to them, connect with how they live, and do your work from that. Your motivation must be the transformation of the life of the young people you serve.
Fantastic. Tell me something. You have spread Young Africa across Africa. What would be your thoughts around our youth and the way we manage them as a continent? What would be the one thing that you would want to see more from governments, from parents, just as Africa loving its children? What would be the one thing that you say we need to focus on this for our youth?
Yeah. I think I have seen that young people in Africa are a force to deal with. The dynamic energy of young people needs to be challenged. That energy is there, that will to make the world a better place, make their community thrive, help their family, make the continent as prosperous as it can be. Each young person has that within. It's a matter of channeling that energy through constructive ways of living to contribute to development. And it's very simple. 50% of Africa's young people is under the age of 30. So it's half the population. Don't look at them as a problem, but see it as an enormous resource. Make the best of that and facilitate that. So I think that would be my main message. You have this humongous source of energy, and you have this need. Bring them together to make Africa thrive.
And just push it forward. So I'll take you back. You were in Chitungwiza for the first 6 years and then moved to Mozambique.
Correct.
Which part of Mozambique were you
in? We were first in Beira, the port city, the closest one to Chitungwiza, because we wanted to be able to still monitor the work in Zimbabwe. And we lived there for 7 years to set up a similar center to what we have in Chitungwiza. Of course, a few different skills, because the landscape is different. Beira is way hotter. It has a port, so the industries are different. The demands of the job market are different. And then we said, okay, Africa has got land as well. So Africa can produce food. The world needs food. Let's bring the two together. We have youth. Let's skill them in agriculture. So then for 2 years we lived in Dondo, Mozambique, just off 35 kilometers land inwards from Beira. And we built an agricultural skills training center there.
And how was the experience compared to Zimbabwe, like from an individual perspective? You know, you've come from Europe, you are now in Zimbabwe, and then you're now in Mozambique. How was the transition? And of course you were homesick, like you said, Zimbabwe homesick. How was that transition? What are the differences in your life?
Yeah, the beginning actually was tough. Of course, it's a different language, and we went to Mozambique with some knowledge of Portuguese, but we weren't fluent. So that's already 6-0 behind. But we picked it up rather quickly. The history of Mozambique is different. I mean, we landed there in 2006. They ended their civil war in 1992, so it's still pretty recent, you know.
Memory is still fresh.
Yeah, and that I think that have eaten into the trust levels of people. So where in Zimbabwe, if you create human connections, things start flowing from there. I open my heart, you open your heart, and from there things start moving. In Mozambique that was a bit different. Also, in Zimbabwe the beautiful thing is that everyone is focused on education.
So we started, whatever program we started in Zimbabwe in education, it picked up. Full, right away, whatever we started. In Mozambique, we really had to sell education, and especially vocational training. We would have every Monday morning 100 young people knocking at our gate, begging for a job. And then we said, what is your skill? Oh, we don't have a skill.
I just want a job.
I just want a job. I want money. Yeah, and then we said, but with a skill, your job perspectives are so much better. Not only getting a job, but also claiming rights at your job and claiming a decent salary. Yeah, and start your own thing and have a career. So then we actually started selling the concept of vocational training by learn today, earn tomorrow. That became our slogan, and that still sticks.
Still, this is the slogan. And your relationship with the governments in both countries, how was it? Well, you mentioned that you had support from the mayor when you came in.
The Ministry of Youth in Zimbabwe.
And from the Mozambican side, how have things been?
I have to say, we put in our efforts there as well to build up relationship. Beira had a fantastic mayor, and he also donated the land for the Young Africa Center in Beira to our Young Africa. So in that way, it was a bit balanced. It was balanced. Yeah.
And as you are spreading the word now, going to other countries, I understand you're in Nigeria now, are you?
Yeah, we've started in Nigeria. Last month we launched.
How was
that
it
is exciting.
Yeah, how is it there?
It is. Support from the government is also really good, and because we now have a track record, you know, we have a proof of concept. We know that our formula works. So with that story, you go to a government that's different from when you have $1,500 and you come by combi and you start from scratch. So yeah, support in Nigeria from governments and other stakeholders is really good. I do believe that our formula can contribute.
What is the vision? What is the vision? Is it to have like 55, 56 branches of Young Africa in every country, or you are specific with countries that you're targeting?
Right now we are focused on Southern Africa and expansion to West Africa. That is our strategy up to the end of 2026. And from there we do believe we can spread further and wider Pan-African or at least Sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay. Yeah. So tell me, there's a pandemic right now where the youth are concerned, because you work with them every day. Drugs, sex, child marriages and things like this. Yeah. How do you guys navigate these things as an organization?
Well, let's start by the root cause of these. We don't believe that young people start drugs because they're bad. They take drugs because their perspective on a good future, on a decent, dignified life is limited. So they numb those feelings by taking drugs. So it's a symptom rather than a cause. And child marriages, of course, education is the best way to combat that. And I think there are great efforts made by many, many stakeholders. There are many, many moves towards ending child marriages. I know the Dutch Embassy and many others in Zimbabwe are super active on that. Economic circumstances force families sometimes. So I believe poverty plays a very important role in that. So what Young Africa does by empowering young people with skills is alleviate that poverty, and that is give them other opportunities, give them other avenues. we work with young sex workers as well, not as a separate target group, but we integrate them into others, because we are for empowering youth and we don't judge. We just say we want you to have an alternative to what you are doing, hoping that that is what gives you more dignity and makes you feel better about yourselves and give you a better and healthier future. So I believe these are all symptoms of a root cause that is related to poverty and economic outlook.
So as we conclude, Dorien, I'm going to ask you this question because it's interesting. You work with your partner on a day-to-day basis, and then you still live together. Did you guys kill each other at some point?
He is still alive. I am still alive.
What's the secret?
You know, Chief, with Raj and me, I think what brought us together is our mission, our purpose-driven way of life. Our whole life rotates around young Africa, and then 1 + 1 is 3. So I think we are better together. We are stronger together. And now Raj is retired from active work at Young Africa. He's still my best solicited and unsolicited advisor. Yeah, so he's deeply involved, and we have the deal that he cooks during the week, so I can work hard and I cook during the weekend.
I think he loves cooking anyway, isn't it?
Certainly.
Yeah, I couldn't cook to save my life, but good for him. So
and good for me.
Yeah, well, good for you in particular. and your perspective in the workplace and the workspaces that you move in as a woman, how has things been since you took over the lead of the organization?
It's an interesting question. Personally, I've never seen being a woman as a constraint, and I know it's not experience for every woman, but maybe it's my advantage of working in a culture that is not my own, that I can break through barriers a little bit more easily. Yeah, and I hope it's not been a challenge for the guys I work with.
Okay, fantastic. So what does the future for Young Africa look like in brief as we close?
Pan-African in terms of geography, millions of young people empowered and transformed and active contributors to a prosperous Africa.
Well, that's Dorien, guys, that we had for you here. She's talking about Young Africa and what they're doing and their personal life a little bit, of course, together with her partner, Raj. You should meet this guy. He's absolutely humble. He loves cricket to bits. And maybe that's why we connect, you know. And maybe we can have him on the show sometime just to tell his story as an Indian living in Africa and how things have been, going for him. I think we can talk to his manager here. Do you think we can have your superstar to come to the show sometime?
I would highly recommend that.
I love that. So we're probably going to have him come, but that's what we had for you on this edition of the Chief Koti Show. Remember to subscribe to the channel and go on to their website and their social media platforms. Young Africa across platforms, right?
Youngafrica.org.
Youngafrica.org. That's the website, and you can look for them on social media and see the work that they're doing. They've managed to produce a gem for us that we are so proud of here at the Chief Koti Show. Jaysome. He's the guy who's responsible for most of the things here together with the rest of the team. So they are actually amazing, I think. I just got a look from one of the guys. He's like, is he that amazing? But he is. My name is Chief Koti. And
Speaking beyond our borders, on land, on the seas and in the air. That was the Chief Koti Show.